But basically, I'd just like to start off with just telling how long you've been in the industry and what are some of the positions that you've held within the industry.
So I started working in a bakery. Um, Actually, this bakery was on a newspaper route that I had, and so they needed some help on the weekends in the like kind of late evening, early morning, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. to kind of clean pans and do this. And I was 14 years old. That was 40 years ago. Yeah. So, and then I got involved more and more. I got more responsibility there and stayed there for a while. And I'm busy, Joe.
You know the poster you got, right?
I didn't make one yet.
Okay. Can you send me the JPEG on it?
I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
DJ contractor. I was mostly focused on working in bakeries. I did work at some fast food places as well, but frequently I also had a bakery job. Sometimes I had three jobs at the same time. And then I progressed, and I was working in Palm Springs, Palm Desert area, California.
Okay,
There's
I know it well.
Okay, you know La Quinta Hotel in La Quinta,
Yes.
city of La Quinta. I was the
Yes.
pastry chef there.
Okay,
Uh,
I was a recruiter in Hemet.
Okay. Yeah. So 88, 89. And then at the same time, I was also working a second job because in the desert, during the winter, you work mega hours and you work your tail off. And then in the summertime, you don't work at all. There's no hours, but yet your air conditioning bill is super high.
Yes.
At least it was then. A friend of mine interviewed for this job to be the executive chef here. And I jokingly said, well, when you go there, if you need a pastry chef, give me a call. And so, and that was June of '89 when he called me, and he was talking to me about coming to Korea to work as a pastry chef in a hotel. And I'm watching CNN, and the guy's flagging down the tank in Tiananmen Square. And at the time, I was 26. I didn't know Korea, China, Japan. It's all the same place to me. I ain't going there. There's no way I'm going to do that. So I said, yeah, send me the paperwork and I'll fill it out and whatever. See you later. Bye. Hung up the phone. Told my dad, and he said, this guy wants to hire me for a job in Korea as a pastry chef. He goes, really? I said, yeah. And I think it's for like the army or something. He goes, oh, really? He goes, well, you take that job, and no matter what benefits they offer you, no matter what the cost, you take those two. I said, really? Are you sure? He goes, my uncle was there too, as my godfather, and they both like, yeah, you got to do that. You got to do that. So, okay, whatever. And so, of course, next thing you know, I'm coming over here. It was 1 November '89, and 1 November of 2016, which was a month ago. I was here 27 years, and I got here when I was 27, so half my life I've spent here.
Wow.
Then, so I came here as a pastry chef, and I did that for the first, up through '97. And actually, as I was the pastry chef, they kept giving me more responsibilities. There was a deli. The deli isn't where I see it now. It used to be in another location, and they gave me that responsibility. They added other types of retail stuff responsibility. They kept adding more stuff and more stuff and more stuff, and I just, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. And during that same period, from '89 to '97, they went through 7 executive chefs, and there was some real horror stories of how these people crashed and burned out of this place. It wasn't, some left okay, but most of them had bad things happen, and they had to leave. So for the last 2, I would go and apply for the job or whatever, tell them I could do it or whatever it was. So finally, after the last one, it was a real bad ending, I went to the GM's office and I said, hey, look, you can't do any worse than me. And he goes, yeah, you're right. And that was it. And that's how I became the executive chef. And I was executive chef from '97 until 2008. And during that time, there was from '98 until 2005, there was a GM here who eventually was they call him the chief operating officer for the MWR, for the Army.
Okay.
and he was a very tough guy, but also a very knowledgeable guy. And I learned a lot, and got to the point where he would introduce me to people as his chief accountant because I knew the numbers, backwards and forwards and upside down. And so going through that and dealing with that, and then as things progressed here, after he had left, they went through one GM that was here not quite 2 years, and it was a real rough road. And so then they brought another GM in, but I don't know the whole backstory, but that's when they said, okay, you're going to be the food and beverage director now.
Okay.
So they made me the food and beverage director in 2008. And so that's the job I've been doing now since 2008, and it's now December of 2016. So basically what that means is I'm responsible for all the food and beverage operations in the entire building. So we serve about 650,000 people a year, plus another 100,000 or so employees. So if you include the pizza and the Subway, it's about 1 million guests per year that's served in this building. And I'm responsible for seeing that it all goes well. So my job is to basically two things. I have to take care of the employees and take care of the guests. If I take care of the employees who take care of the guests, that's the most important thing. All the numbers aside, it's important that we do make money, because money, which is what enables us to do the rest of this stuff. But you're not gonna make anything if people aren't happy.
True.
Either customers, guests, or the staff who have to serve them.
Well, that's a long history, and especially in one location. I've run into some people who have been in the industry for a long time, but they've moved around to like 30 different
Every 2
hotels.
years, every 3 years.
But
yeah, and my intention wasn't to stay. My wife's not Korean, and we weren't even married when I came. And so when I came over here, I thought, well, I should just come over and hang out and live together for a while or whatever, and go back to the States. And I didn't really have a plan.
okay.
And then as soon as I got here, of course, I found out, well, you can't live here unless you have a visa, and you can't get a visa unless you're either A, married, or B, have a job. So I got here in November. The hotel didn't even open until April.
Oh.
So there wasn't any jobs available. So I got here, and about a month before, 2 months before she got here, and then I called her dad and said, hey, I'd like to marry your daughter. And she said, sure. And her excuse for coming here was to bring my dog. I had this old dog. And so that's why she was coming. So she got here on the 5th of January. We got engaged on her birthday, which is the 12th of January. We got married the 25th of January, 1990.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it's one of those things. Life just happens,
Yeah.
and I've been very blessed, and I know it. I'm thankful every day.
Well, that pretty much knocked out like 3 questions of how long you've been here. What is your educational background? Do you have like any degrees as far as culinary?
I started, just like I said, I started working in a bakery when I was 14 years old, and
Just
I've
hands-on.
attended classes, and I've done stuff, and I've gone to like Culinary Institute of America for stuff here and there. But did I ever go and sit down and get my degree? No, I didn't.
Okay.
And in the old days, that was probably more common than it is now.
Yeah, some of the videos that our professor has shown us. There's a few guys that have been on there that have been in the industry 30 and 40 plus years, and they're in managerial roles, food and beverage, GMs. Never been to school, but they started when they were like 13. So
Here I am.
It goes to show that it's
You've
not,
got one now.
It's not all about just the education. Sometimes it's just about the hard work and dedication.
I think what's important is that you've got to enjoy what you do. If you don't love what you do, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're installing headlights on the Ford factory line and you love it, you're going to do great. But if you're doing a job like this, or any high-speed job, or any job at all, and you hate life every morning when you wake up, you're better off, laying asphalt or installing headlights. I mean, if you spend most of your waking hours doing something like this, you better like it. You know, you better have a passion for it,
True.
because otherwise you won't be good. You know, people can see that, you know, right away. I mean, if I thought life sucked here, you could probably tell right away. You know? I'd answered all the questions. I probably would have typed it out, and say, "Here you go. Any other questions?" But to see somebody that's interested in the field, it's important that, you know, I support people who are coming in, because, frankly, you know, I'm not going to be working forever, and I don't want to work forever. But there's got to be people that come behind me that, you know, can pick that up. But also, because you or whoever it is has to understand, if you haven't worked in the business before, it's a different animal.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
And
I was here. I worked Saturday for the Commanding General 8th Army's holiday party for 300 people at the Hartel House. It was about 300. So we did 2 sessions. And Saturday's normally a day off. I usually work on Sunday. So, okay, well, I'll work Saturday. I can take a different day off. No big deal. Well, not this time of year. So then I did that, and then that night we had the Officers' Wives Club had a dinner, like a little fundraising thing. And then at 4:00 the next morning we had the Army-Navy game, where the 8th Army Commanding General and a bunch of other West Point graduates are going to come in and have breakfast, and we normally don't even open the outlet till 6, so we had to be ready. We were ready at 4:30, and the game started at 5. So then I had to be here for that, and then at 11 we had in the lobby something we never did before, which was have kids decorate gingerbread men. So, you know, it's a neat idea, but somebody has to come out and show, you know, figure out how it's going to work and how it's going to function and who's going to do what and how it's going. So there I was again decorating cookies till 1:00 in the afternoon. So, you know, it's just one of those things. And if you hated life, you wouldn't be doing it. But you know, actually in this case, the West Point game was okay, but decorating the cookies with the kids was a lot of fun. And that was exciting, and it kind of, you know, it energized me. You know, like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel like I'm in the holiday spirit now. Cause it's busy this time of year. It's tough, and we got a lot of employees that are very tired because they're just getting, you know, so many events and functions, and people want to have events, and also people, they seem to have maybe not on their best behavior during the holidays, and so they have to deal with that as well. So, you know, and mostly for me it's mostly dealing with employees. You know, making sure the managers that work for me are good, they're comfortable, they're not burnt out, they're not sick, taking care of themselves, and they're taking care of the people that actually are forward facing to the guests. Because at the end of the day, that's where you know, it's called the moment of truth. You know, every time somebody walks up to the deli or sits down in the restaurant or wherever they happen to be coming in here, that's, you know, that's the person that's going to spend money with us, and they have to be happy when they spend money, because we want them to feel good about it and come back. That's our lifeblood. That's what pays our bills.
Yeah, I understand. Like me being an Army cook for 20 plus years, I know that this season, the Thanksgiving and Christmas season, is our busiest time of the year. And for us, everybody else gets to go on the block leave, but soldiers, there still be soldiers here, and we don't get those opportunities. So we work through the holidays, and then after the holidays is when we get our vacation. So I understand.
I'm taking completely. 2 weeks of the first week of February. I'm taking 2 weeks, you know, 10 days, 11 days, whatever it is.
Yeah, I understand it completely.
And I've done that for years and years and years. And you know, I'm talking to the one lady in accounting. She's going back with her family in New York, and another lady, the contracting lady, she's going to Spain for 2 weeks tomorrow. And you know, one after the other. But I mean, you know, my Christmas it could be, you know, May 13th, and my New Year's is, you know, a different day, and frankly, if I did have those days off, and I probably wouldn't go out, because it's just I know exactly what's happening on those days, and how crowded places are, and how, you know, the places are struggling to keep up with the business, and you know, you might not get the best of those days. So, you know, frankly, I'd just as soon be home cooking a steak or whatever on New Year's Eve or Christmas Day or whatever it is. I definitely wouldn't be sitting in a restaurant.
Okay.
But I have to take care of the people that do want to do that, and there's a lot more than ever. Thanksgiving, crazy. I mean, unbelievable. I did over 1,000 people upstairs. I did turkey dinners to go, like a whole turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy, vegetables, cranberry sauce, pie, dinner rolls, right? And we make it all. And Thanksgiving Day was 317 of those, and each one fed 10 people. So that's basically, if you're talking about 3,200 people we fed to go, plus 1,000 upstairs.
Wow.
Employee cafeteria is free that day. Plus, I do the Hartel House, which was like 400 people. So,
So,
and when do you buy turkeys?
I know
In March.
we had to put in our order early.
March.
Yeah.
I got to buy them in March. So, and you know, if you miss it, then you can't get more turkeys now. It's too late because those farmers are growing them started in March. That's why you got to order then. You can get them, but the price is a lot higher.
I think we projected starting about March, April. Wow, that's so you gotta have your plan like set like pretty much the year before, leading up to it.
Yeah, I mean, in the summertime when when it's slow and it's quiet, that's a lot of planning's going on then. But the big stuff, the big blocks that gotta go in the puzzle first, that has to be done. You know, like you said, January, February, March. It's all gonna be set in place right away.
Okay.
So you're always thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're always thinking about Christmas. You're always thinking about the holidays. You're always thinking about Oktoberfest. Yeah, I got to order sausage and beer and mugs. I have to order in March too for Oktoberfest, which we do in September. So,
Okay.
yeah, our food wise, we have a prime vendor similar. If you're doing the food service here, it's USA Foods.
Yeah, we have USFI.
USFI, I mean USFI. I have a different vendor, but it's a similar situation. But from the time we order till the time we receive it, it's about 6 weeks.
Oh.
You know,
And that's on a regular regular
ocean
deliveries?
freight. Yeah.
Wow, because we do. They have a warehouse here.
Yeah,
where
they have a
do-
warehouse here, so it's a little different.
Yeah,
So they're responsible for keeping the stuff in stock.
yeah. So we do 2, 2, 3. They deliver Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, that's
So we're out ahead, and like the beef, we is chill beef. So all of our steak and everything, it's coming. It's not frozen. So we have to keep just the right amount on hand, and we get Angus beef it's called, instead of first in first out, we get last in first out from the butcher shop, from the
Okay.
meat processor. So when it hits it hits the ocean, it's probably about 3 weeks coming across the water and getting up to us. But once they pack it, we've got about 6 to 8 weeks. And if it's getting too long, then we got to throw it in the freezer. We can't keep it chilled. So, but we don't like doing that. We do that as rarely as possible because it changes it.
yeah.
You freeze something, then when you defrost it, what comes out? All the water. The water, also known as juicy steak. You lose all that water while you're done.
I really didn't know that you guys. I thought you guys had like the same vendor or a similar type vendor to us, to where it was delivered weekly.
Warehouse. Well, we do get delivered weekly, but
It's I mean,
it's a container. It's
from the order to the delivery
Yeah.
being like, I think it's a 7-day gap.
Yeah, we're ordering for Valentine's Day now.
Wow, you have to do some real big thinking on that one. Wow. Well, let's see. How many restaurants and bars do you have? Do you service here?
So there's 4 restaurants. There's Hartel House, Green Street, Oasis, and Sables. Green Street, Oasis, Hartel House has its own bar, and we also have a lounge, Bentley's Lounge. So 4 and 4, and then we have the retail deli. We got a small ice cream shop upstairs, and we do a banquet and catering business. That's on the mezzanine level. That's where Sunday brunch is and other stuff. And now we're really super busy doing all of our events, all our Christmas events. We just had a meeting, so this is all of our, somewhere in here. So this is today and tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. So
8, 9 events in one day. About 11 on the other day. Wow.
yeah, and then we have like tomorrow night we have CJG3, which is Major General Bill's 300 people, and then the next day we have SOCOR for their Christmas party, and then Saturday, which I mentioned to you, we've got the Commanders Party,
Okay.
and the Commanders Party is 600 people. We do two 300 people events.
Wow. That's here in
And
this building or in the.
some of it's at the Hartel House, but a lot of the stuff is here. The larger events are all here.
Okay.
And you can see
Weddings.
early next week it starts to cool down. You know, once you get close to Christmas, then it kind of cools down a little bit. Christmas Day again will be like Thanksgiving Day. We'll do 1,000 people upstairs, 500 across the street, everything else going on. And then we do the big New Year's party here on New Year's Eve, which is
Yeah.
about 1,200 people.
Wow. It's definitely a busy season for you. So I'm very thankful that you took the time to sit down with me. Let's see, we talked about that. How many employees are on your staff, like, you know, that assist you, like, directly?
It's a little over 200.
200?
Yeah, a little over. Yeah, like 223, 224. There's about, kitchen people is about 80, and the rest is service people.
Okay.
Admin is myself, and I have one admin assistant, and I've got a couple of people that sell banquets. But other than that, everybody's got to work. There's not a heavy administrative layer.
Okay.
When we first opened, we had assistant food and beverage directors and food and beverage directors, executive chefs, and everybody had their own secretary and their own admin assistant and all this stuff. And as time went by, you know, and it just you find that you can be more efficient just, you know, doing the stuff yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I got to tell somebody to do A, B, C, and D, I can just do A, B, and C, and D faster than I can tell them.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
The biggest help I need is with the language.
Yeah, that's
Kind of my mistake, is not not thinking I was going to be here 27 years. You know,
yeah.
a couple of people tried to push me to learn. I got, nah. And it was just hard for me to focus on it. So,
Yeah, my wife's been beating me up for the last 16 years to learn. I know enough to get by, but not enough to hold a conversation.
yeah, I mean, I can speak small amounts here and there, and I can say numbers and food items and all that kind of stuff. But as far as actually, like you said, having a conversation, or if I say, you know, how do I get to the Seoul Tower, and the guy explains it to me in Korean, I'm like, he might as well have said it in German, because it doesn't matter. I'm not going to understand it, you know. So my Spanish was pretty good when I got here. I used to speak pretty decent Spanish, and so we've been to Spain a few times, and that's helped out. But my Korean is enough. Yeah, I know enough, but you know, I can understand. I can hear it, understand more than actually.
And that's the way
anything
I
else,
am.
yeah.
If I listen, then I pick up on a lot more than if I actually tried to speak.
Yeah.
So I let my wife do all the talking. So, all right. That goes right into, I guess, one of the questions I had was, what are some of the challenges of being a food and beverage director? But like you said, the language barrier is definitely something that.
Well, the job is, you're getting people to do what you need them to do and feel good about it. That's the job, you know, and that's tricky. It's tricky business. People feel everybody has a different feeling about what's going on and what they're doing and how they got to this point in their life, and some of them this is, you know, there's people that work for me that, you know, maybe driving a cab was their last option, and now they got this job and it pays them, you know, a little bit more per hour or whatever it was, so they stick with this. And if somebody, you know, offered them an Uber job that paid them a little bit more than that, they might go, they might not. There's good benefits for the local staff here, as far as, you know, the benefits for the job. So there's educational benefits for their kids, and so they stay, and they stay long term. The kitchen actually has several employees that are from the opening team, like myself. So when we do our anniversaries, when we have a group picture, it's about 80% kitchen people and a couple housekeepers, and 1 or 2 laundry and 1 or 2 accounting, and that's about it. So it's, yeah, the tough part about the job is to just, is mentally keeping things going the way you want them to go, and when things aren't turning out the way you want them to turn out, is how you handle that, how you approach that. In Korea, if somebody loses face, it's tough to get it back.
Mm.
Even if they misunderstand you, they think you said something in front of other people, and it's not what you said, it doesn't matter. You're gonna lose them. And if you lose them, then how do you get them back? Because if somebody's not engaged with their job and they're just here, punching the clock, it's not good. It's not good. It shows. If you're taking care of guests and you're just like unhappy about it, like, yeah, I got 4 more hours to go and I'm going home. It's not good for the guest or for the staff. So, keeping people motivated. I always tell people, my number one job is to make each person feel like they're 10 feet tall. If you can do that, the rest of it's easy. I got so many experienced people. They know their jobs inside and out far better than I know it. But it's keeping the energy up and keeping the morale high.
All right. So we know you're a busy guy. And what is a typical schedule of daily activities for you? Like you said, you get off. You try to take that one day off a week. But like when you come in the morning, what time do you come in, and what time do you leave normally?
It's really different every day. It depends on what's going on. My office hours are supposed to be 8 to 5. But, if I leave at 5 o'clock, it's rare. I'm not an early guy, so it's not too often I come early unless there's something early that I have to be here. But it really depends on what's going on with the business. Do I have a big wig eating breakfast here, or do I have an event going on at night? Tomorrow, CJG3, they start at 6:30. They eat, and then they'll eat till about 8. So I have to be around. That's just part of the job. So maybe instead of getting here at 7:45 or 8, maybe I'll get here at 8:30.
Okay.
Come out a little bit later. I won't worry about waking up right at my normal time. But Saturday is the 4 Stars party. We got big, huge setup, big, all stuff that normally we don't do and people don't see. That's my normal day off. But I gotta be here, and we're gonna set it up, and we're gonna kick some butt. It's gonna be great, and I'm gonna have a good time.
Okay.
I'll bring my camera and I'll shoot some pictures, and I'll send you. I do photo collages on YouTube. I'll send you the one from Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And you can see it. It's something I just do as part of the enjoyment of the job,
Okay.
and it kind of makes a record for me of when I'm old and gray and can't do it anymore. I can look back and say, "Oh yeah, we did that."
And with the stuff that we do in the DFAC for Thanksgiving and stuff like that, we try to take a lot of pictures and post them on different websites and stuff so that people around the Army can see like the different skills that your guys have, and put them up against the other people. And then
they used to have the 8th Army food competition here at the hotel every year, and they haven't had it here probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think they just do like a small team and send them to the actual Army competition in Fort Lee. So
it used to be a big deal here when people did all the displays, and they had like outside people coming to judge, and I would judge, and it would take a better part of the morning for judging, anyways.
Yeah, it's for in certain places overseas, it's been dialed back. I know. Like in the States, it gets pumped up for as far as the training, but here in Korea, because it's so spread out and everything, they've dialed it back a little bit because it takes soldiers away from their actual jobs and here in the DFACs, and because the DFACs here and other overseas locations are so short that they're like. Yeah,
So it's been that way for years and years. I mean, there used to be cook of the quarter and NCO of the quarter, and they would come here for a week. And we'd say training with industry. You could come here, and they would pay for them to stay in the hotel, and I had a little schedule. You work here for one day, and there for one day, and there for one day. But then when they would come in, I would say, what do you like to do? And more than half would say, oh, I just want to work in the bakery. I want to learn about being a baker. I want to learn about pastry chef. All right, I got a great bakery. You make almost everything from scratch. You've seen the deli, right?
Yeah.
So all that stuff we make. We don't buy anything pre-made. And so we let them go in there, and it was always great because I think that for our case, we might have gotten more out of it than the soldiers did. Because here's an instance where you got a young person, male or female, and they were excited, and they generally the ones that win have a little bit of passion. Yeah. And also they had some habits that were very well trained by the military, sanitation habits that our folks may not be as current on, and so it was always a good influence to have that going back and forth. So if you could make that happen again, we'd be happy to do it.
I know that they're trying to start the Cook of the Quarter program here, but because of the changeover in leadership, that it's hard because of the changeover. As soon as they get the program to where they think they have it up and running, it's time for them to PCS. So then the next guy comes in and he doesn't like it. He doesn't want
to do something else.
Exactly. So it's like there's no
you
continuity.
just gotta drop and go. You can't just be.
Yeah, it's like the Cook's Ball that they had recently.
2RD Cook's Ball.
Yeah, that's something that's when that got started, I was actually here.
So that was the Cajun guy, Honore.
Yeah,
General Honore. Yeah, I remember that was big, and he spoke at that.
Yeah, that was the first one was, I think 2003
or 4.
I was here. I had just got back to Korea for my.
In fact, we did some training during that. We showed how to make like some decorated cakes. We had little training sessions during the daytime, because they brought everybody down.
Yeah, and that was what it was meant to be initially, was like a training day where we sat down with the Sergeant Major down on Camp Coiner, and he went over some ways to professionally grow and stuff like that. And then we went and they had like a barbecue and different events. Some people went here, some people went there, and it was all set to where it was just like a day for the cook. They called it like Cook's Appreciation.
Yep.
So the one day a year where we didn't have to go and be a part of the kitchen, we actually focused on ourselves and growing. And then now I see it, and it's totally changed.
It's just
now
a
it's just
party.
a party.
Yeah, it's a party. They come here and hang out. And they spend some money. They go to Bentley's afterwards, and they're happy about that. But and I would talk to like the people that won Cook of the Quarter or whatnot, and I'd always say, "So what's your schedule like?" And I'd just hear, "Man, these guys work from early, like 4 or 3 in the morning, and some of them work all the way through dinner, and maybe one day off a month, maybe not one day off a month."
That's because we're short personnel, food service wise, here in Korea.
It's like, who would do this? Who would sign up for this?
Yeah, so that's why I say, if you want to do this for a 20-year thing, I've made it that far, and I haven't killed anybody yet. I mean, but I actually enjoy what I'm doing. Like, I enjoy being working with food, working with people, the customer service aspect of it. I love it all. There's some times where they're not so great because some customers they try to push your buttons, and they prod and they poke and they try because they can see it in your face, so you have to try to hold it.
If 2% of the world is crazy, I'm getting 40 crazy a day in here.
Yeah.
Out of 2,000. So, you deal with it. That's part of the job. That's why I'm a manager, and other people are just the employees got to say, "Hey, help me with this guy." Okay, sure. Can I help you, sir? And you talk with them, you listen to them. Generally, they just want to be listened to. And that's part of the job. And I'm blessed that I don't have to do it a whole lot.
And being a soldier, it's a little bit different because they tend to try to use that rank structure as I told you to do this, so
Well,
go
we,
and do it.
we get people trying to pull their weight here too. That's not unusual. That's not an unusual thing.
So, yeah, but I myself have lived through it in many different situations in different countries, different locations. So I've been adapted to deal with customers in different situations. So I have no issues with it. But some of the younger ones, they tend to flip out a little bit, and you got to reel them back in.
You got to keep your ego.
Yeah,
out of
you
it.
got to reel them back
It
in.
has nothing to do with your ego or your personal whatever. It's everything to do about that guest and their experience. And maybe they got up this morning and they had an awful experience from their spouse or whatever it was, and they're gonna give it to somebody, and you happen to be the one standing there, and whatever, you didn't put the pickle on the hamburger, and they're freaked out about it, or whatever it is, and you just listen to them and apologize, and appreciate the fact that they brought that to your attention, and if you need to compensate them, you compensate them, and hopefully they'll come back as a customer and they'll talk nicely about you. I mean, everybody's had bad service experiences, but the ones you tend to talk about are either the ones that ended up being really turned around very well, or the ones that were never turned around and were, became a contest of egos with whoever the person was on the other side, trying to argue with you or whatever you were as a customer. So, that's what you have to avoid, and that's sometimes it's hard to teach people.
Yeah, it can be a rabbit hole.
I do have staff that here's so and so, and they always have a hard time. I said, well, why don't you try approaching it this way? Try a little sugar instead of vinegar and see if that gets them.
Okay. All right.
So my day basically is I guess I would say sections. So I've got to do, take care of immediate problems, immediate issues, whatever stuff that pops up on email. That's part of it, and that takes varying amounts of time, from 2 to 4 hours, depending on what the day it is. I've got to walk around and be seen and see and look and talk, and the part about making people feel good. So that's a really important part of it. Planning is a big part of my job, so I do need time to plan and work on menus or work on events or work on whatever my boss wants me to work on. That's a part of it, and then there's a certain amount of where I just have to go to meetings. There's different meetings in this organization that we attend, and they if it's a management group meeting or executive committee meeting or whatever, they don't all have to do with my section or my department. They have to do with the entire property, but there's a lot of different departments here. There's engineering and housekeeping and front desk and accounting and purchasing and security and just on and on and on. So you got to be aware of the stuff that's going on, but sometimes it's not always the best use of time, but it's just a fact of life in any business. So what's the most important? It's FaceTime with employees. Absolutely, that's FaceTime with employees. So if I'm sitting in here and it's grinding past coming up to 10 o'clock, I know it. I got to get off this chair and get out there, and get around and see people and see guests, because I could sit in here and never leave the room, and still be working, because there's just that much to do all the time. And, you have to decide, well, what's your priority?
What is the annual budget like for you?
So revenue is about $12.5 million. Labor cost is about 52 or 53% of that. The food and beverage cost, it runs about 32 to 33. The other operating expenses, meaning china, silver, glass, soap to clean it, paper goods, anything else you need to operate, runs about 5.5 to 6%. And our bottom line net income is usually about 10%, 8 to 10%.
Okay.
So if we bring in $12.5 million, we want to at least see $1 million on the bottom line, $1 million to $1.5 million, because we need that money to recapitalize. that money's got to go into, you know, redoing the restaurants. You know, the carpet lasts about 5 years. The wall surface is not even that long. Kitchen equipment lasts maybe 10 years. Commercial refrigerator, 10, 11, 12 years. And, you know, if you have your own business and you baby it and you have people that respect it, but if it's, you know, like in this restaurant, you're doing 600 to 1,000 people in Green Street a day. You know, imagine how many times you have to open and close that refrigerator.
Yeah.
You know, or that
Just the normal wear
dishwasher.
and tear.
You know, one customer probably's got 2, 3, 4 dishes and plus silverware, plus cups, plus everything. You know, so there's probably a dozen pieces that have to be washed for each customer. And if you're averaging 700 times 12, you know, it's 850,000 pieces a year that have to be washed. After 10 years, that machine's wore out.
Yeah.
So we just replaced it, the dishwasher there. So that's where, you know, people say, oh, you make all that profit. Well, we don't call it profit, we call it net income before depreciation.
Okay.
Because it's a net income that's needed to, you know, recapitalize. We're going to do the Green Street buffet line. It's going to be redone. I need to do the ballroom. I need to do the lighting and the ceiling. You know, probably a $300,000 job. Bentley's is going to be redone in August. You know, I got a lot of projects going on. Hello. Hey, sir, come on in.
Oh, this is.
How you doing, Brian?
All right, doing great?
Yeah, I'm
All
doing
right. All right. Yeah, me first. Now he's got you. All right. He's tearing you up, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very knowledgeable about all this stuff.
He is. He's got a lot of years. Just one question. Did we pick up the Grey Goose? Do you know if they picked
I
it up
didn't,
yet?
you know, I came back from the meeting and I had it at 4 o'clock and I haven't even
I thought-
plugged my card into the machine yet.
thought
Because
you-
what I asked Mr. Puck to do is, I said, go and get as much as you can, and all I want is an email, and the subject is Grey Goose and a number.
Okay.
And so as soon as I see that, I'll
Okay.
shoot it to you.
All right. You like Grey Goose?
I love it.
Yeah, right. See, it's guys like you.
All right. So we talked about the revenue.
I can show you some stuff here. Where's my glasses? Oh, there. Didn't used to need glasses to read. So here's some examples. So Christmas and New Year's. All right. So this is all my planning for Christmas and New Year's without the menus. This is just the different things that are going on in each location and the times and, you know, what's out of the abnormal stuff. And then we go into New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day and the day after, which is not much. But also with that, I've got all the data, right? So I've got, this is like the total revenue for 2015, which was on a Thursday. And you wouldn't think what day is New Year's on or Christmas on is important, but we've seen huge fluctuations in our revenue over the years.
Okay.
So that's why I track it.
So Saturday and Sunday is
Bigger. And guess what? Christmas is on a Sunday this year, right? Christmas Day is Sunday, yeah.
24.
It would have been on Saturday except for the leap year, so we missed
Okay.
it. We missed a Saturday.
Yeah, and you get New Year's on the
New Year's Eve is Saturday.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I say when the woodwork squeaks, out come the freaks. So we're happy to take care of. And, you know, I'd rather have people come here than go downtown. I think it's safer with us. I know downtown there's maybe a little more excitement or whatever, latest and greatest or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you're on the compound, it's protected.
Yeah.
So
True.
that's why we do that. So there's Christmas Eve, and this is a total roll up, and this is by outlet, and then you talked about average check for a customer, how much each customer
Yeah.
spends on average. So this is how many. So the average check is like for Oasis, you take what the total revenue is, and you divide it by how many customers you have, and you get that. That's your average check, average spend, which is really important to track because if your employees aren't upselling, then your average check will go down. And it's the same amount of labor to serve somebody that spends $18 as it is who spends $22 or $23. So you buy a dessert, you buy a drink, you buy an appetizer, you know, you sell that stuff, you bring up your average check, and you make more of a bottom line, you become more efficient. But also for the employee, they make a better tip because they're getting paid in tips.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes they don't always understand that, or because of their language capability, they're afraid. So they don't want to sell it. beverage sales. Even the turkeys I sell in the deli that day. You know, that's what I had for last year. And then I have Christmas Day. So Christmas Day, I had 3,197 people, not including the employee cafeteria. Employee cafeteria about 500 people. So that's 3,700 people. But if you look at the to-go holiday dinners, which are somewhere here, holiday dinners on that day, it's 137, 10 people per. So that's actually 1,370. So you add another 1,000 out of that number. That's what we served on Christmas Day last year. And I keep tracking all this stuff.
That's a lot of
Don't Mary taught me this stuff. I just
Yeah,
you
that's
know
a
what?
lot of volume.
I gotta keep this information, and I gotta keep forwarding it. And then I think I got New Year's Eve on here too, which is it's a really big number for New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, I don't have New Year's Eve on here. Hi, Ellie. Yep. I'm not sure. Actually, I have a meeting right now. I'll call you when I'm done. Alrighty. Bye. So, if you want this stuff, I can print out another set for me. You give me an idea of what I do. Actually, this is the New Year's Eve stuff here. It's a kind of a different animal, so it's all planning and stuff. My food plans for New Year's is this is bars. We have all these different bars. Have you ever been in here New Year's Eve?
I haven't been here for the party, but I've been here like not necessarily for the party itself, but I've been here for that day.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, this is New Year's Eve, and all the different, the touch points we have to hit, who's in charge of what area, and then I've got a production list of all the food, and then what follows that is this is what's going to be in the lobby, about how many people I estimate. It's all flowing up and down, but we assign so many people per area, and that gives you a general idea what you have to have pushed over there.
Okay.
You don't want to have stuff running out. And the mezzanine is actually it's taken over by a Greek group. So one of the alphas or something like that.
Okay.
So they've rented the last couple of years, and that's a good deal for them. We didn't for a few years we didn't have anything on the mezzanine. We just had it out here in the lobby and a little bit down on Oasis. And
they do like a black and white party or something. Because I heard they've had a couple of events.
They've done different events here, and I don't know what the theme is for New Year's, but
okay.
They're telling us 200 people, so we're gonna get ready for 200.
Okay. Wow. See, you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. So something else that I do is I'll track. Here's an example of. This is like a daily report, right? So this is it's called a flash report, and it's a little bit condensed. I do some work on a spreadsheet before I actually print it out. But basically, what I'm looking at is I don't have the days report. I have month to date this year, month to date last year, and the difference. So it looks like I'm 9% ahead on food revenue from last year. Beverage revenue, I'm 4,000 ahead, but other revenues like rentals and stuff, room rental, I'm behind a lot, 14,000. So overall, I'm ahead by 22,000. So that's something I got to keep a close eye on, and I have to look at it every day. And the other one, my most expensive ingredient is, and we talked about the financial report, and the number one thing I said was, well, this 12.5 million revenue, and the next thing is labor, right? 52%. So the hours, how many hours have we used? We used 11,991, 962. So I'm 30 hours up from last year with how much more revenue? With 5% more revenue. Sounds pretty good, but if you look at covers, which is how many customers, total covers, capture rate. So I had 21,349 customers. So far, this is like obviously 11th. Last year I had 23,000, so I have 2,000 less customers with the same amount of hours. Maybe it's not as good as it looks. It is good though that they're obviously that the how much money they're getting per customer has gone up. It's gone up by 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So that part of it's good. So, so what do I have to do about that? I have to talk to people and be careful with your hours. Now, do I want to hammer people on hours in the peak season? No. I'm just going to maybe talk about it in passing. But as soon as I get past Christmas, January, we fall off a cliff. And we got to get people out. People, they need to take vacation in January. I hate to tell them that, but we need to get hours down in January because otherwise we're going to suck wind. We're going to lose money. We make all this big money in December. Wow, look what all you guys made. Oh, I made 15-20%. Yeah, then January I lose 100,000, just like that. So it's you got to be really careful all the time. So it's just a constant balance, constant fight. And you look at all these big numbers and thousands of people, but at the end of the day, it's individual customers and individual, team members that are doing the work.
See, a lot of work goes into it.
Am I overwhelming you?
No. Managing dining facilities and stuff. There's a lot of behind the scenes.
It's basically 6 or 8 facilities put together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I look at it. I don't look at it all as like, oh my God, this big huge chunk. I look at, okay, I got to work on, like I've been living on Green Street Breakfast. My boss said, why don't we have grapefruit? Well, we've kind of taken the fruit off of most of the line, fresh fruit, because it's so expensive. They switched, you're doing DFAX now, right?
Uh-huh.
They switched produce vendors a year ago. And this new produce vendor, frankly, is horrible. And the prices are outrageous.
By the time you get some of the fruit, it's already bad.
They're buying it bad.
Yeah.
They're buying it bad and selling it for good. They're selling this stuff that I wouldn't even feed my pigs, and honestly, and I've said that right to their face because it makes me angry that, I've got to go to the commissary too and buy it. But we worked with the medics and we worked with our contractors, and guess what? We got Korean contractors and Korean vendors. I now purchase a lot of my fresh fruits and vegetables from Samsung, biggest food vendor in Korea. Mm-hmm. They feed 8 million people a day. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was one of our biggest headaches. Is we get a box of lettuce and you can't even use half of the box. As soon as you open it, you're like.
And I worked with that vendor. I worked with that vendor for like 4 months. I begged them and I pleaded, and oh man, I mean, we went through all kinds of. But through that, I found, okay, I've got a local vendor I can use, and then I found how much stuff I can bring across the water that's still good. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't think you could put avocados on a ship and have them get here and be good, but guess what? If they buy them and they're green and hard, they get here and they're ready to use in the next 2 weeks. Papayas, same thing. Apples, oranges, lemons, grapefruit we just started. So many things, all the hard stuff like potatoes and onions. Of course, we've been doing that for years, but we've tested more and more stuff. I got kiwis coming. I'm going to see if kiwis work. Things you can't get. Well, can't do strawberries, can't do raspberries, can't do lettuce, anything leafy. We tried melons a few times. Melons just don't quite make it. They almost make it, but don't quite make it. So, yeah, I mean that's all stuff that I deal with all the time. It's constantly. Sometimes I tell people, "What do you do?" Well, I'm a sheepdog, and I run around the flock and I bark. And by the time I get over to this side's starting to go off in the corner, so then I have to get back over there, and then by the time I get back, it's just round and round and round and round.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I know I had a lot of other questions, but
you can shoot them to me an email, and I can type them out real quick.
I'm taking up a lot more.
That's all right. I totally plan for this because I mean this is something I probably would rather do than spend anything else in many cases. Here's the menu from the 8th Army Commanders holiday party. Okay. That's from last weekend. This one's for next weekend. I don't have any notes on here, so you can have this one too. You see all the V's on there? 4 stars vegan. So does his wife.
I heard that.
Yeah, so we've learned a lot about vegan cooking.
Yeah, I heard that because
I developed a vegan cheese dip, nacho cheese dip, and it's flavored with it's tapioca starch that makes it thick, and it's flavored with a nutritional yeast And nutritional yeast you can buy from like health food stores and other stuff, and it's got a twangy, cheesy flavor to it. But I've done a lot of reading. I've done a lot of learning.
we had some guys that went and they did a couple events for him, and they came back and they were like, I never made any of that stuff before. Like I've never even heard of that.
I'll send you some photo collages too. We did when Mrs. Brooks came. We did her welcome tea, and we did a 100% vegan menu, and it was beautiful. It came out really nice, and I was really proud of my guys for doing it. And so this event, this Christmas event's always real big, and we've never had anything really specifically vegan before. And there's probably 20-25% of the stuff is vegan. So.
I'm gonna definitely
Vegan
come
stuffed
check
mushrooms and vegan this and vegan that, and still have to be careful. We tell them, let's make some vegan kimbap, and just the last minute I check it before it's going out. Oh, they put ham in it. Now, thankfully, it's not a religious vegan issue, because then I'd really be worried about it. But I'm still, he's doing it for his health and all that stuff, and I got it. So, our job is to take care of guests, and that's what we do. We put some vegan stuff on the menu, and some of it goes, some of it doesn't. I find that soldiers, a lot of them, they exercise very frequently and have less interest in eating real super healthy stuff. And you guys do that Go for Green?
Yeah.
So they want us to put that on the menu. So I have one thing called Point Preferred, and I'm going to change it just to Go for Green so I can be consistent with everything else.
Okay. All right. I'll end it with one last question. What advice would you give to someone starting out in the hospitality industry?
What advice would I give? I think you have to be true to yourself, and you have to, you have to listen to yourself, but you have to listen to the people that you're working with. Be open-minded. Don't have preconceived ideas. Every time I think I know better, I realize I don't know jack. So, if you like it and enjoy it, you know what you're getting into. A lot of people that go to culinary school, and they've never even set foot in a commercial kitchen before. Oh, you're going to culinary school. Where'd you work before? Well, I've never worked in the kitchen before. Good luck. And some people get out and they can swim. They swim like hell, and they do it, and a lot of those people get burnt out because they don't realize what they're in for. But I just taking care of the employees, and that, at the end of the day, you can't take care of all the guests, you can't touch all the guests, but your employees do. And so if they're feeling good about themselves and feeling good about life, you've gone a long ways to, at the end of the day, we're here to make the world a better place. And that's what it's about, in my opinion.
All right. Well, I thank you for giving me, your time. Gave me a lot of information. I'm gonna go look at these menus, and I definitely want to come on Saturday.
So Saturday, the event starts at 12:30. We'll be in the throes of setting it up at 11. And if you walk in at 11, and you can hang out for a little while or whatever. You've been upstairs to the mezzanine area,
Yes.
the ball, where the ballroom's at.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be an issue for you just to go up there. If it is, if I don't see you by like 11:15 or 11:20, I'll poke my head down here real quick and make sure you're not just hanging around, and I'll bring it up. You can walk around and look at it, and you got the menu. You can kind of put one and one together and see what we're doing. We're doing one kind of a, I don't know what you call it, molecular gastronomy thing. We got a tank of nitrogen, liquid nitrogen. Have you ever seen any of that stuff, liquid nitrogen?
I've seen a couple of things.
So liquid nitrogen is liquid because it's minus 350 something degrees, and at room temperature it evaporates. But what people do is you can use it to instantly freeze stuff, right? You got to be very careful with it. It's the opposite of a deep fryer. It's the same temperature as a deep fryer on the other side of the scale, so it can hurt you just as bad or worse than that. But so we're doing an ice cream station. We got a small little mixer, and we've got the ice cream mix, and then we pour the liquid nitrogen there and let it turn, and then it foams out, and then as soon as it's done doing its thing, that means that the nitrogen is gone. You don't want somebody sticking that in their mouth, and then they have ice cream. And so we serve the ice cream out, and then we make another batch one by one. And actually tomorrow I'm testing a very small batch of a little cup-sized batch of vegan strawberry ice cream. The dessert is all chocolate, but to do a chocolate vegan would be because the chocolate's tricky to work with. It gets, it seizes at a different temperature, and so we're gonna do from scratch a strawberry ice cream because I can use there's the frozen strawberries that got the sugar in them. I can puree that, and I've got some vegan cream that's made out of coconut and almond cream, and I can just put those two together, and I hope it makes ice cream.
Wow.
We use the vegan cream for a lot of stuff. We make like lentils with curry, and we put this cream in it. And we've made cream sauces with wine and stuff, with different types of grains and whatnot. And he's really enjoyed all of it. So
Definitely come check that out.
yeah. So we'll be playing with that a little bit, and just the whole setup's real big, and you'll see people really working hard, being passionate, being excited, and it's a big event. It's an important event. It's very stressful for a lot of people, but for me, once I see all my smiling faces here, I know it's going to go well. I mean, anything that's going to go wrong, most likely, knock on wood, has to be an external whatever bad thing, power outage or something like that. But for if our prep is good and we're all set, then it'll go well. I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. I'm very thankful.
Well, like I said, thank you for having me.
Sure.
Very informative, and I will definitely take this and come on Saturday and take a bunch of pictures and try to get all this stuff into my project. Hopefully, my instructor will love it.
Yeah, I hope so too.